Now let's chat about the border. Kamala Harris refused to answer how many illegal immigrants have entered the United States under the Biden-Harris administration. But this was her response when Bret Baier put to her that the Border Patrol Union just endorsed Donald Trump.
You frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
She's just caught out there. She's got no answer when it comes to the border.
Well, remember, she wants to pretend. The first thing that they did was put a piece of legislation in which was going to shut the border. No, it was an amnesty bill, OK? Even the one that she turns around and says is the bipartisan one and the most... That would let in 5,000 people a day that Bret Baier correctly pointed out is 1.5 million people that would still be able to illegally cross the border. There have been the best part of 10 million people walk into the country, OK, including a person who was arrested this week for preparing a terror attack on election day. She can't pretend away the reality of it. And I am so sick, Gab, of the lefty Jedi mind trick, right? This is not as bad as you think it is. The economy is better than you feel it is. You can't tell people what they feel is wrong. She had a chance in 30 minutes to show us all types of her personality, to take control of the conversation, to show the ability to turn the temperature down and the charm up. She didn't.
Yeah.
Instead, what she wanted to do was for all the people that are already voting for her to turn around and go, yay, you yelled at the guy from Fox.
Yeah.
Yay, you yelled about Donald Trump. That is a giant missed opportunity. Now, was she going to win over everyone watching it? Of course not. But if you're down in the polls, or even if you're up a little bit, you want to grow your number, which means people who sat there for half an hour, they saw, yes, a cantankerous and occasionally feisty and all the time evasive, but they didn't see a president.
No.
They didn't see a person who you would want to spend a 31st minute with, let alone 4 more years with.
Look, it's interesting to that point. It hasn't taken long for some of the lefties on Twitter to have an absolute meltdown. The fact that she went on Fox and actually had a hard interview, actually had to face some tough questions. Just looking on X, there are some tweets describing Bret as an insecure white boy misogynist just for daring to interrupt her. Of course, that was to be expected, right?
But again, this is this garbage, right? Where I'm simultaneously strong enough to be the President of the United States to stare down Vladimir Putin, President Z and all the rest of it, right? Oh, but the Fox News guy interrupted me. Well, pick a lane, all right? Now, again, there is a very fair conversation always about how the media treats you, what the question is, all the rest of it, right? But it's also about how you perform, okay? Now, we all saw
a huge part of it.
That when the media was unfair to Trump in the second debate, yes, 100% true, but he also underperformed, okay?
Yeah.
In this scenario, she had the opportunity to turn around and say, okay, Bret, I get it. I get what you're doing. I get why you're doing it. Can we just come down and have a conversation? And you go, okay, this person's taking control.
Yeah.
Instead, she didn't want to be there.
No.
And it was like she was forced to sit with some sort of a zoo animal she'd never met before. Like, clearly they'd never met each other, they don't know each other, and she made no effort to try to show herself to be a person you want to hear more from. And with 2 and a bit weeks to go, that's the only thing. She's got to win the election tonight.
She was still stumped on so many points, you know. She still couldn't answer the Joe Biden question. She's had months to prepare a good answer.
Just because you don't answer the question loudly doesn't mean you answered the question.
Yeah. Politicians anyway. But look, Kamala Harris, she's clearly losing support in the polls. And if you look at the betting odds, Polymarket had Donald Trump with an almost 20-point lead last night. So, Paul, what's your prediction? What's going to happen as a result or off the back of this interview?
Well, today, look at the timestamp, 2 and a bit weeks out. So don't go and take your clips and go, see, they were right, they were wrong. Trump's in front. Why? Real Clear Politics average, OK? If you have a look at the Real Clear Politics average, he's leading in 6 of the 7 swing states.
Yep.
The polling mistakes, not margin of error, mistakes at the last election had him anywhere, they overcounted Biden anywhere between 2 and 4 points, depending on the state, depending on the poll. So if Trump in the averages is up slightly and they're still undercounting his vote, well, then Trump is way in front. That said, there are weird things that pop around. In fact, during the interview, as it was going to air, Fox released their poll that nationally showed that Trump is leading nationally, but she's leading in the swing states, but they wouldn't say what swing states it was. So if you're forcing me, and when you look at me like that, you know you're going to get an answer out of me. It's Trump right now. Strange things can happen because don't forget as well, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, hundreds of thousands of people don't have a house. All right. So how are they going to vote? Where are they going to vote? Can they be bothered to vote? Who knows, right? But on the data that we have, and as you say, people putting down their own money, Trump's in the lead today.
Recent polling shows that Kamala Harris is starting to lose support from black men, and she's now creating an opportunity agenda for black men. That's a new policy pitch. And of course, we've heard a lecture from Barack Obama lecturing black men who might not want to vote for Kamala Harris, but these aren't great signs that she's in a good position. She's looking, I would say, pretty desperate at the moment.
So that thing that's on screen just there, right? I think it's point number 1 or 2, which is loans you don't have to pay back, right? Forgivable loans, they're called, of up to $20-something thousand. Last point, let's legalise weed. Now, what sort of a borderline racist pitch is that to any voters, let alone black male voters, to say free money and get stoned? That is not serious. Now, again, will she win the vast majority of African American voters? Yes. Why? Because of the historic issues when it comes to the Democrats. But we see in this election young men, be it black, white, Hispanic or Asian, who may well be watching shows like this, listening to Rogan. They are completely independent people who are not going to do what their mummy or daddy or Uncle Barry is going to tell them what to do.
Yeah, and just finally, there are reports that there are tensions between Kamala Harris's team and also Joe Biden's team. Joe Biden really hasn't helped Kamala Harris's campaign, has he?
Well, no, because he has not allowed her to say whatever, in order to win, do whatever's necessary, including you can throw me, not all the way, but just maybe a pinky toe under the bus by turning around and saying, you know what, we haven't got it all right, but I've been a loyal number 2. When I'm number 1, we'll get those things right. So that on top of what you're starting to see, and there was an interesting story from NBC News over the weekend, which was that there's a little bit of fighting inside the campaign in Pennsylvania. Now, the expectation is that Pennsylvania is actually not going well for her, Michigan as well. However, could that be offset by North Carolina, Georgia? Guess what? We'll all find out together.
Paul Murray, it is so brilliant to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Love ya.